Mandi, you and I were talking, and you're coming from the angle of it's payers that are actually becoming a little more like providers. So let's start off with that. That's where you see the overlap happening.
Well, yeah, I think that there is a tremendous amount of market convergence, and I think we'll see it on both sides, but I would argue that payers are better positioned to be able to enter the provider space because payer operations and the act of becoming an insurer requires first a whole lot of administrivia beyond what providers are going to want to have to handle to begin with, a lot of actuarial processes. Quite frankly, a lot of money, a lot of funding in order to become an insurer and in order to develop the capacity for bearing risk across a population. They already understand those actuarial processes. They are already undertaking those underwriting processes that are necessary in order to facilitate kind of risk-bearing contractual arrangements with providers. And so I think it's much easier and will be a much faster transition for payers to begin their forays into the provider space and to buy providers and to be able to integrate provider processes into payer arrangements than the reverse.
Okay. Colin, you're coming from kind of the opposite angle in that you agree the overlap is happening, but you see it happening where providers are actually becoming a little more like payers and taking on some of those roles. So what do you see evolving here?
Well, I see a little bit of the opposite in that a lot of the large providers already have captives, and so they already have some of that insurance experience. Some of the larger IDNs already have the infrastructure to handle claims and know how to do the math for the actuaries. And so I don't think it's as big a leap for some of the larger players to become and offer individual insurance or member plans. So you take Geisinger, for example, you take Intermountain and the Partners Group. These guys are already familiar with a lot of the needs and the wants of both their patient side and on the financial side. So I don't think it's as big of a leap. And I think just because they have the more intimate relationship with the patients, they're able to provide more tuned plans than a traditional payer might be able to, because they're not at sort of that coal face.